Women, regardless if you're married or single, embrace each other. Do not
That's
judge
right.
each other. Help and heal and mend each other and become a support system.
Serial entrepreneur, two-time author, and certified master life coach, Chastity Sanye is a native Houstonian who loves living life to the fullest. She specializes in empowering her clients to achieve happiness, success, and mindfulness in their daily lives. As a dynamic empowerment speaker and leadership trainer, she utilizes her 2 decades of experience in corporate America to masterfully unwrap the boss within her clients and students. Her unique coaching and speaking style ignites the fire of purpose, helping them to excel in their area of expertise.
That means you have to train them. And a lot of leaders want to lead and not train.
To learn more, visit ChastitySanye.com.
I am your happiness, successful, mindful master life coach, and I am here to give you the nuggets, the tools, the resources, the networks that you need in order to ignite to the next level.
Hello, my hybrid women out there. I hope everybody have had a wonderful weekend, and I am so excited to be back on the live stream with my phenomenal audience. This is my last show for 2022. 2022 has been a phenomenal year for me on so many levels: leadership, growth, and development. And just on a journey of me pursuing my happiness and what that looks like. And if you have been following me and if you have been part of the Hybrid Woman experience, I know you have made strides to basically continue to build and develop who you are as a person, continue to be happy in your own right, and setting those healthy boundaries. So I am very excited about this last show of Breaking Barriers until we air again in 2023. I have my sister, my big sis, coming to the stage. She is the phenomenal, and I'm going to say her nickname because I like it because it has swag to it. Her name is Shanedria Wagner, and I am bringing her to the table.
Good morning.
And this woman is phenomenal. I'm not going to read the bio because sometimes the bio gets kind of rigid. This woman speaks 3 languages. She is a beast, a master, a woman in her own right. She does political things. She's in the school system teaching these kids, helping these teachers, helping these principals build and grow and excel in an educational format. She does presentations. She is the hybrid woman that I basically love and portray in each woman that I come in contact. She is a powerful powerhouse. She's a powerful woman. She's a mother. She's a wife. And she is most of all a woman that is secure and in her own right blessed. And I am so honored that I have had the privilege to get to know her and get to know her better. I present you none other than Sandwag.
Good morning, everybody. Yes, I am Shanedria Wagner. When I gave birth to my son and I was having my 40th birthday party, my husband got me a little cake for my gathering at the house with family. I didn't want a big cake because I didn't want to eat too much, so my entire name would not fit. So my husband, in an effort to still have my name on the cake, shortened my name to Shan Wag, and it has just stuck ever since.
Oh wow, I see. I didn't know the backstory. I thought that was something for your business,
Well,
a
yes,
little
yes,
cook that
it
it
has
came from.
become.
I didn't know your husband is the one that brought it forth and it became a hook for your business.
Yes, my husband is.
Awesome.
Yeah, he's my right hand, left hand. I mean, he's everything. So yes, he's so creative.
That's awesome that you have a husband that supports you in your business and they're right there in the trenches with you. That's
Yes,
a blessing.
yes, it is.
So today we're going to talk about professional growth and professional development. And what does that look like for the corporate business entrepreneur women of today? And what did it look like 15, 20 years ago? And how it has changed and manifested.
Okay. So you're asking me. Okay. So, well, professional development, I think changes with really a few factors. 20 years ago, professional development was just beginning to make technology a requirement. It was strongly, strongly emphasized in some districts, some school districts, and I'm sure in some businesses. Whereas in other districts that may have had less funding or less resources, maybe technology was not as required. It was maybe strongly recommended. So I think our dependence on technology has definitely transformed how professional development looks because we're into more distance learning, especially with COVID 20 years later. Also, I believe that the trends in education shifted really 30 years ago when I began my career, because prior to my being a teacher, the old school teacher was considered excellent if he or she had great speaking skills and could deliver a great presentation or a great lecture. But when I entered the profession, the requirement was that our teaching became more balanced, more student focused, as well as teacher focused or teacher student centered. We had to the administrators looking for the interaction that we have with our students, rapport, the opportunities for the students to talk and to interact and to synthesize and analyze and engage in some of those higher order thinking skills. So that's another thing, the trends. And then I think also what the data tells us. The data drives what we do in professional development when it comes to deciding which teaks to target or which objectives target. We look at how the students are responding, and then we tweak the instructional practices to align with our goal. And then finally, I think professional development looks much different nowadays than it did 20 years ago because we've had an exodus of excellence. That's the best way I can say it. We've had an exodus of excellent teachers due to retirement because we're just tired of working and want to take a break. And then with the changes in educational requirements, some who couldn't really deal with technology got out. And with that, we lost our baby boomers. And so we lost the refinement that was once associated with education. There is no guarantee that the teacher you encounter is going to be a great speaker. And that's a sad state that we're in right now in that regard. So yes, our PD has changed for those reasons and more.
My question is, PD basically to me is training, educational growth, development, a skill set. And I think across the board in industries, we are having the same challenge of training and development because a lot of the baby boomers, regardless if you're a teacher or if you're in corporate America, are retiring and moving out. And everything is, as you were saying, is technology based. And a lot of the older seasoned professionals are not as savvy. So my thing is, how do we brand that? How do we make that a hybrid? What are some suggestions or processes that we could do to train our seasoned vets, our seasoned professionals, so they can stay in and also develop? Or is it just, hey, I'm tired, I've been doing this way, I don't want to change, I don't want to train, so I'm gonna move to the left and go to wherever another endeavor that I want to do. But I think everybody is evolving in this new era, and I think we are losing the foundation that was built going into technology because everybody weighs on technology so heavily. And what would happen if the grid just failed?
So let me elaborate on that. So I will be honest, when I was in college, and I had a leadership position as the director of the Texas A&M Scholarship Pageant, I had subcommittees, and one of my subcommittees was technology. And that subcommittee handled everything that dealt with the printing of the workbooks, anything that dealt with print. I had a committee to do it. So I only knew how to do word processing when I graduated college. When I started teaching and this technology was expected, I went kicking and pushing. I was reluctant. I was a youngster. And so it was not until I enrolled in grad school and took crash courses in the summer at the University of Houston that I had to just deal with it. I had to jump on the bandwagon and get it. The
Right.
problem with the older generation, I think, and with some educators is that they don't understand always that professional development is not a one-day thing. It is an ongoing process. So whenever your training for your teachers is not ongoing and consistent, you can expect teachers to sit through a training and then abandon everything they learned when they leave based on their comfort level. Some people will come into a PD, see that 1 or 2 day training and go, okay, I know I've got to get additional training. So they study more, they review more, they ask people questions, they go and they try, they fail, but they try, they immerse themselves in the technology. Some people are not going to do that. Some people, if they know their boss is not going to really follow through, they don't follow through. But I think if all schools would understand that the same strategies we are expected to use with students are the same strategies we should expect to use with teachers. In other words, teachers should not sit in a PD as an audience. The teachers should be active participants. So if there is a technology training, teachers should have their laptops with them. They should be doing it with the presenter and going through the motions. And then after that, there needs to be follow-up. That is how you build a comfort level and a level of trust with your teachers, irrespective of age, especially the more seasoned ones. And when you support them and show them and help them and meet them where they are, you will have much success with their growth. But I think if we are not good, if leaders are not great communicators themselves, if they don't deliver great quality training, and then if their approach is dogmatic and you better do this, it all has to do with how you treat people, how you talk to people. So that's, I think, ultimately ongoing training is the solution, and ongoing support as well.
So basically what I hear is, and what I'm getting out of it, and I agree, is improve retention by listening and not micromanaging people. And not, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Is by supporting and showing repeatedly, ongoing support and training. Don't just train them one time and think they got it.
So you have to be consistent.
Yes.
And you have, it's almost like teachers teaching kids. You have to really get to know that kid, and you have to come or get at the level where that kid is so they can learn. Because I believe all kids can learn. They just learn differently. And it's the same thing with adults with professional development. All people can learn, they just learn differently. In management, high management, or organizational hierarchy, however you are in your industry, you have to make sure you have the right levels to teach different ages, because you have different ages that learn differently. Like the baby boomers learn totally different than Gen X or Generational X, whatever all those other millennial names are. We learn different. And so we have to teach our teachers or professionals based on the level that they're at that time.
It reminds me of married couples. You know how they say when you marry someone, you have to keep doing what you were doing prior to marriage to keep the flame going, keep the magic. That's the same way with teaching. We have people who get into teaching who really love it and want to change the world. They get burned out or turned off so soon. The average retention of teachers is like 5 years, before we have a turnover with many. So I think that if we continue to court them, continue to reignite their passion, continue to remind them of why they began teaching, if we make our trainings fun and enjoyable and help require them to be the participants and students, they see how much fun they're having. I want to replicate this in my classroom. I have fun in the PG. We had fun. We were laughing, and I see how it works now. They modeled it for me. I think I got it. They have to have those kinds of experiences so that they'll be excited about implementing whatever the training is about, and then they would be more likely to take the work home. Because when I started teaching, it was just there was a tacit or unspoken understanding that your job did not end at 3. It just didn't. And so I, watched my teachers bring work home. I thought that was just a natural part of the job. So I already knew that. So I have never been that teacher who leaves things at school. But when you make the sacrifice of bringing things home and preparing, your day flows so much smoother.
Yeah, it is tiresome, but if you love what you do, it's not tiresome. So basically, my audience and for people that are not in education, this also can reflect corporate America too, is that you have to have measurable goals and you have to make it achievable. And you have to understand what those goals are. And in order for you to be successful in your skill or in your niche, you have to work that plan. But it takes a team, and everybody has to come and do their part. They have to show up and do their part whenever they need to do it. If you don't show up and do your part, then don't get mad if your professional development has not increased. But also, from the leadership side, we should also have the resources and the availability for our employees to grow and to achieve those goals and desires. Because if you basically have things that are healthy for your employees to develop and grow and produce and have fun, like you were saying, that means their clients, another word for clients in your case would be students. They're going to learn, they're going to achieve, they're going to gravitate, and they're going to want to learn and be better than where they were in the first part of the session.
And this makes a good argument for teacher raises, because when I began teaching, I was not married. I had no children. I loved teaching so much that I hated Fridays, because Fridays represented the last day I could teach that week. I couldn't teach Saturday and Sunday. I loved teaching. But many people have families, they have children, they have grandchildren. So sometimes it's an economic decision. Like they may want to bring work home and really immerse themselves at home, but they have dinner, they have soccer practice, they have chemo, their mama has chemo, they have to deal with life. Or in many instances, they have a second job. They have a second job to make the ends meet. So when you're trying to survive, when you're in survival mode, you're not going to thrive. Wow. So we can truly raise standards. I think we've done a great job of raising standards and expectations, but we haven't raised the salaries, and we haven't raised the morale, the money and the morale. We haven't raised those to the degree that we should, to get people to reciprocate. And when you have bullying, because bullying is very prominent in education, unfortunately, whether it's children bullying teachers, teachers bullying students, administrators being bullied or bullying others, that bullying is the termite that is eating away at the foundation of our educational structure. How you treat people really matters.
Let's make it a twist, like stay on something. You talked about women or people having multiple things outside of their workplace. How do you think, and we are women, so we're going to talk about women. My audience is about women. How do you think we are handling it, or where is it going with women empowerment, women in leadership, women stepping up to the plate, leaning in and saying, like, I am here and I demand the presence. I want this. I want to be heard, and I can be a wife. I can be a mother. I could be a friend, and I could be an entrepreneur. I could be a corporate woman. I don't have to limit myself. I think a lot of people in society are very nervous with, I'm going to say this, the hybrid woman. that says, I can do all this. Now, there's boundaries, but I can do all this. And do not push me back because I have a child. Do not push me back because I'm married. That means I might have to rearrange my lifestyle, but that doesn't mean that I can't come to the table or I can't bring the table to the room and supply the seats. See, I'm on that level. I just don't want a seat at the table anymore. I am the table. And in order for you to make it happen, you have to have my product. But I don't think society, and I'll say this, I don't think a lot of alpha males in high positions, or even alpha males or men that are married to these powerhouse women, not all, I'm not saying, but some, they're not really open. Some people say they're open, but their action shows totally different from that. I'm gonna stop and let you chime in.
So you basically, let me make sure I answer the question right. So you were saying that you like to know how hybrid women should proceed in their endeavors and in a quest for wearing multiple hats in light of the societal expectations or limitations, or in light of the males who might not appreciate her ambition. Is that what you're saying?
That is correct.
Okay. So let's talk about the female dynamic from two angles. One, I will start first with the partner. Okay. With the partner, because the partner you have could either help or hinder your endeavor, right? Mm-hmm. So we have to have expectations of the people we spend our time with. And, we're expected to be supportive of their endeavors. So they should be supportive of ours. So the woman has to make a decision when she identifies that her husband or spouse or partner is not supportive. That person has to decide, either you will become supportive or we will become, estranged, or we will become segmented or compartmentalized. I won't discuss this part of my life with you, and you won't get to reap the benefits. I really don't know. The woman has to decide whether she wants to stay in that relationship or walk away, stay in it and fight for it, or walk away and fight for herself. But I do think that that's a tough position to put women in, because sometimes women, marry people, and you might be, say, a teacher when you get married, and then you might decide you want to consult after a certain number of years. Your husband may not believe in it. He might say, "Oh, why are you doing this? You need a second income." You just really don't know how things might change. So that's a tough one. But I think women should let their conscience be their guides. When it comes to professionalism in the professional setting in men, I've been very fortunate in that the majority of the people with whom I've interacted understood my value and their need for me. Like they had a need, a severe need. Like the being bilingual is such an asset that they often would seek me out. They seek me out to work for them. However, I have encountered a couple of situations when the men at the table tried to haggle me for my price, my daily rate. And that was a contract I walked away from, because I don't accept mistreatment of any kind from anyone. It didn't work. So I'm strong in that regard. I had one situation on the campus once where the principal had hired me over the years, and she was a Black female, and she had hired a male assistant principal, and he didn't know me. We sat in a meeting and we talked about what the goals were for that academic year, and he made a comment about my daily rate. He made a few comments I thought were very inappropriate. So I went to the principal and told her the things he had said and how I was not comfortable with that. I didn't appreciate it. So the next day, he wrote me a letter of apology. See, so that is an example of Even when that man was acting like this, there was a woman who was his boss. I know sometimes you might have men, but I don't think don't let that bad apple deter you from going above him, because you might find a person with a really good heart above him. Don't let him speak for all men, because he doesn't. So the bad apples do not speak for all men. So we have to keep the faith, knowing that even if you're rejected or mistreated by certain people, you'll be accepted and respected by others. Yes, you have to keep your fight. Don't stop. Don't lose your fight or doubt yourself because someone else is upset or jealous or envious or threatened by your success.
Right. So we're going to take a short break, and then we're going to end this segment and discuss sisterhood.
Perfect.
Okay. So we'll see you in a moment.
I was jamming.
You was jamming, baby.
Yes.
That's my girl, Kelly. I love Kelly Rowland. I think she's beautiful.
I saw her on 2 occasions.
Really?
Once at the Gucci store, and I was, perusing a cabinet full of, I think, some accessories, and she was not far. And I looked up, and she was, and then I saw her at a restaurant one day, and because she'd been so kind at the Gucci store, I walked up to her at the bar and I said, "Hi, I would like to gift you one of my books. Would you accept it?" She said, "Sure." And I signed it to her, and she said, "I like your jade bracelet." I mean, of course, you remember everything the celebrities say,
Right.
But she is just such a joy. She's so beautiful and talented and just so personable.
Yeah, she is. She is a Houston Southern girl.
Yes, she is. Yes, she is.
And I like that about her very much so. But I like her music.
Oh, me too.
This last segment that we're talking about is sisterhood. I know you and I have had some off-air discussions on what does that look like as sisterhood, just as women in general. We have talked about sisterhoods within the African American sororities. And if you don't know, we'll say here, she's part of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, and I am part of Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated. So we have very much intense, high-level conversation on what sisterhood looks like within just being a woman to woman and within our sorority. So, I'll start it off with sisterhood in general. I think we struggle to truly support each other in that ramification of sisterhood. I think we struggle sometimes because of our insecurities. And the insecurities fester into resentment or jealousy, and it builds up because I guess we don't know how to be happy for the other sister's success. And because we're not doing what we are supposed to be doing, our divine purpose, we start to say negative things or bringing negative energy around that person who is doing what they need to do. I don't know how to break the cycle, but all I can say is I start with me. And that's the only way that I can break the cycle of this negativity among sisters is I support you. Now, that doesn't mean I have to be in your face 24/7, but I support you. If you want to be a realtor, I want you to be the best realtor you can be. If you want to be a politician, you be the best politician you can be, and I will support you 100%. But where I think we lack is we want the support, but we don't support others. We don't know how to balance the two. That's my start.
Now, when you say we, are you speaking of sorority women, black women, women, period?
I'm speaking of women, period. I'm not talking about the sorority right now. I'm talking
Okay, got
about
it.
women, period. Just, you know, I met you, we clicked. We didn't know each other. We were referred by mutual friends. I think you need to get in touch with her. You reached out, we talked, and we start talking about our personal growth. We start talking about our personal development, and we just went there. But sometimes meeting, especially I'm gonna say African American women, it can be challenging. It can be, and it's not, and sometimes, well, I didn't say anything. Well, sometimes you don't have to say anything. Your actions, your disposition is something called nonverbal, speaks very loud. And I'm a person that I listen and I look at your nonverbal because I can say you are telling the truth. You don't say anything to me. You don't call me. You don't try to intervene, but your actions shows me something more. And I said at a panel discussion that I was on Saturday at an event at a conference, the WOW conference, this lady named Jackie Horn, she's phenomenal. Follow her. She's a powerhouse speaker. She hosted Saturday, and I said to them, you know, you have to know who you are. And there's people out there that does not mean you well. But when a person show you who they are, believe them. Accept the truth from others and stop justifying it.
I just went back to our very first text message. When you texted me August 16th, you said, "Hello, Miss Wagner. You are referred by Angie Matthews. I would like for my daughter to be tutored in Spanish. She's 4 years old. Can you please provide me with your availability and pricing?" That was our first interaction. That was the day I think we talked about 2 hours.
Yes.
When we talked. So speaking of sisterhood, let me tell you who Angie Matthews is. Angie Matthews is a woman of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, whom I met at a teacher supply in 1995 as she was purchasing Spanish materials for her bilingual class, and I was purchasing French materials for my French class. And we stood in line. I was behind her, and we started talking. And once I realized that she majored in Spanish at Tougaloo University, and then she transferred to Texas Southern, where her dad, the late Dr. Prater, Dr. Prater, was dean of the technology school for about 3 decades at Texas Southern. But she and I became fast friends, and she literally held my hand through my master's degree. She's the reason I transitioned from secondary to bilingual education, and she was at my house on Saturdays helping me. She's my sister. And even though we're not in the same sorority, so my experience has been that yes, there are two sides to sisterhood. There is sisterhood that is genuine love and support and admiration by women that transcends organizations and race. And that is the majority of what my experiences have been with women. They've been overwhelmingly positive. So when I have those negative situations, I know how to decide this is not for me. I'm not going to take that. And then I just move away and proceed with the blessings. Do you follow me? So that's how I remain positive and upbeat about sisterhood, because my focus becomes the positive. I know I see my peripheral. I see this. I see the haterism. I see the lying. I see the slander. I see the bullying. I've witnessed it, and I stand up for my sisters who dealt with that, because I've dealt with it too. But again, once people show you who they are, and this is what you told me in one of the conversations we had when I was mad one day, and I called you and I was hot.
Yeah, she was hot.
Stuff for your conference, and you were still taking time out to talk to me, and I was like, I'm just, and you listened, and yeah, and you were listening, and then you stopped me and said, "Now, Shanedria, once people show you who they are, believe them." And we've heard that before. We knew that, but I had to be reminded of that. I think I was being so compassionate for this person who had hurt me and slandered me. I was still worried about her, and I still am. Still love her and want her to excel, but I'm still
levels.
Exactly. I was going through a different process of, feeling sorry to concern, anger, whatever those layers are. But that's my point. I've been blessed to I have sisters from, people who support me, my business, my endeavors, white, Asian, Latina, Black, Greek, Muslim, Jewish. I mean, so when people say things like, well, Hispanic women don't like us, I'm like, which ones?
Yeah.
I mean, not the ones I know.
Yeah.
So when you meet someone who fits that negative stereotype, you're able to say, you know what, this deepens my appreciation for all the people who don't act like her, people who look like her and don't act like that.
Right.
And that's what keeps me, okay. That's what keeps me balanced and positive and persistent. And it keeps me optimistic and hopeful because I cling to the positive.
Right.
Wow. I speak out about
you have to attach yourself to like-minded people. And we say that a lot about like-minded people, and it's okay. And one thing I learned over the weekend, I want to attach myself to like-minded people, but this lady also made me look at it from a different angle. But I also want to continue to attach myself to the people that has built me up.
Oh, yeah.
Because some people that have built you up, they might not have the degree, they might not have the status, but they have the drive, they have the will, and they have the backbone. And those are the people that have helped me up. They might not have their degrees, and it's okay, but that does not mean they're not intelligent and they don't have value. And so what I have started to, and when I started, where I've always been, but also speaking more on it now, is I want to connect myself with like-minded people, but I am not going to forget my team, my ride or dies, the ones that are in the dirt with me, the ones that are crying when I'm with me and if I'm upset. And sometimes we forget about, and she made an analogy, she made an analogy from a biblical standpoint, mm-hmm. the what do you call them? I don't want to call them maids, the housemaids, what do you call them in the Bible? I guess I'm gonna call them housemaids. The housemaids who basically helped the queens, the princesses, basically get their day together, make sure they was together, polished and whatnot. But if they didn't have that help, then they wouldn't be who they are today. And sometimes we forget about those sisters.
You made a very valid point, because the emphasis placed on attaining a 4-year degree and then obtaining a corporate job has waned in recent years because of the emergence of different professions that do not require, lucrative professions that do not require a degree. Mm-hmm. So we have to go back and tell our children, either go to college, get a job. There's nothing wrong with getting a job in corporate or getting a job and working up the ladder, or getting a job and being in that job and being happy in that job for 30 years. And there's nothing wrong with not going to college and finding a skill or a craft or business you want to open. Exactly. There's nothing wrong with making a good, honest living. So as a child, or as a person who was raised by a mom who gave birth to me as a teenager, who wasn't able to go to college, her life switched to me and my sister. Like, her whole existence was about taking care of us. So she had a very good job at the post office, and I watched her work ethic. I mean, get up, go to work, never missed a day of work that I can ever remember. Climbed up the ranks to a level of supervisor. Loved what she did. Very, very good leader, very good speaker. She still helped me edit my papers, and she didn't have a degree. So we don't dismiss, people sometimes try to dismiss and one of the bullies I confronted this year and last year is a person who had heard about 5 of my friends. And one of my friends, didn't go to college. And she said, whenever I would see this girl, as often as she would see me, she would always say, "What's your name again? And where'd you go to college again?" And she knew my friend did not have a degree. So you see, you never know how your nastiness and your words, they hurt. Those things hurt people. And so I'm so glad you made that point. I know so many people who have college degrees who are struggling. And I know people on the other hand who do not have a college degree. Like you said, they have drive, discipline, determination, and and passion for what they do, and they are wildly successful.
Right. It's that, and I'm gonna use a slang word that I like to use. You can't and you will not dismiss my hustle and grind, because my hustle and grind is real. You're not here at the 12 midnight hour, 2 o'clock hour, while I'm brainstorming and working in this room, creating things, bringing things. Now, I have a corporate job. I do. And the blessed thing about me having a corporate job, I like what I do too. I really do. I like my corporate job. I have no issues about my corporate. I like what I do. But I also like the entrepreneur side of me. And my hustle and grind is twice as hard, because I feel like if I can hustle and grind for a company that is not mine, I can hustle and grind 150% for what is mine. And you can't dismiss my hustle and grind, because that stuff is real. And it's something you can't teach a person. It's either they're going to have that grind and that hustle, and they're not. And it's very hard when you have a hustle and grind, and the people you're around, it can be your loved ones, it can be friends that don't understand the hustle and grind because they're complacent. It's very hard. You can't, a hustler and a grinder, and I'm using that word because I just like that media of the word, has a hard time dealing with or working with a person that is complacent. It's hard, and you have to identify and you have to work through it if you decide to keep that person in your life. But it's very challenging because the drive in the other person is always looking and trying to resolve. They always have an action plan. They're trying to be better. They're trying to move. They're trying to network. Network is very important. I don't care your color, creed, gender. If we're on the same path, we're on the same roller coaster going 250 miles an hour, and we understand each other, and we're going to say, hey, Chastity, here, catch this. Hey, Shad, catch this. We're going to do it. I'm going to keep you on my roller coaster. But it's hard when you're trying to pull a complacent person, a person that doesn't have a vision, or their vision might be minimal. You never know. And you're trying to go 250 miles, and they trying to go 5 miles an hour. That is hard.
And I think that everyone should be allowed to travel whatever road they choose at whatever speed they choose.
That's true.
I share your sentiments when I am approached by people who want to partner with me professionally. I've had people come to me and say, it's time for you to expand. And I have a team of people who are ready to work under your company. And I had to politely say, darling, I appreciate the gesture, but expansion is not something that my husband and I are exploring at this point. This is when people have made this, they see dollar signs and they say, okay, she gets contract, she can make up this much money. Imagine how much more money she'd make if she had more people in the classroom. But I'm not hiring anyone that I don't select. I have to, when we do expand, you have to be competent, compassionate, cultured. I mean, I don't, you can teach, you can be smart, but be rude. I don't need you. You can be brilliant, but have an issue with Hispanic people. I can't use you. You can be a genius, but not like white people or any people. If you have an issue with race or people, and I hear that, I don't need the energy in my workplace. I cannot work with you because I put my heart and soul in my work. Right. And, you might have the greatest heart, and the greatest, drive and willingness, but you're not willing to do the work. You're not disciplined. Right. So I think that's one. And then I remember when I started my business, when I was 28 years old, I will never forget the resistance I got from some of the people at my job. Now, many of them didn't want me to go, and I was going to miss them too. But they were posing questions about, well, how are you going to have insurance? My thing was, let's stop there. I don't come to you for money. Like I don't come to you. I've never borrowed money from you. I will be let me worry about that. And guess who was my biggest cheerleader? Oh. My mama. Now these were all degree people. I'm not saying that there were a few who just really didn't want me to go. And they kind of got on my back, made me a little mad. But they were asking questions that did not concern them. That my thing was, I'm fine. And my mama was the one who said, listen, baby, People work on jobs for 30, 40, 50 years and dream of being business owners and never try. You are young, you have no children, you're cute. My mom always, she'll build me up.
Mama
and
build you up.
and I got you. She and her post office job had me. So I'll never forget when I called her one day. I said, "Mama, this check is late. Meet me at the bank." Okay. She was getting, and she was asleep during the day because she worked at night. I didn't even have to explain. She just heard it in my voice. Okay, meet me at the credit union. I mean, so I still have a blank check that she gave me in my drawer. Keep.
And that goes with investing in yourself.
Exactly. But
she put that time.
But she was the one, and I had to go to her a few times, a few times, and I was very. It was all because money was late coming, and I was crying one time, like, "Mama, I hate to come to you like that." She's like, "Girl, aren't you glad I'm here? Like, stop beating yourself up for needing my help. I'm your mama." So what I'm saying,
because she knows, she believes in your vision.
Absolutely.
And she understands, in order to build my daughter,
absolutely,
I have to invest.
My potential. And she said, if you fail, at least you tried.
And we're gonna get back up. And this is the thing, you fail, but if it's still your vision, you learn from that failure and you pick your head up and you move and you strive to do better. You learn from the mistake and you move and strive and do better. This year, I failed in a couple of things with my entrepreneur business, but I picked it up. I learned it. I went and pulled some resources, some people that are good in that area, and said, "Hey, this is what happened. Give me some insight. Give me some tips." And they gave me some tips. I said, "Well, you did this, but you didn't do this. So try it this way." And I worked it. And then I didn't fail again. I kept building and I kept building. But I also knew my vision. And I didn't allow other people to come and change my vision. And that's one thing you have to know. When you know your vision and you understand your vision, nobody can take that away from you. No man, no woman can take that away from you. It is your vision. And the only person that can destroy it is you. And if you allow people, the naysayers, to get in your brain and say, "Oh, you're selfish," or "you this," or "you that," I can bet you anything, when you was not investing in yourself and you were giving everything mentally, emotionally, financially to individuals, they were okay with that. But once you start doing something for yourself, "Oh, you're selfish. Oh, you're not." Well, you are not in this vision, and God didn't give you the vision. So I have to continue to do what thus said the Lord in my life. And I have to realize, and we have to realize, that sometimes when you have a vision, people are not going to always support that vision. But your mama will.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I don't like a little tangent.
No, that was great. I mean, and I don't want to create the impression that nobody was. They were just, I think, shocked. It was kind of sudden. And I loved my job. I loved my school. And I remember when my principal kept telling us every year, "I'm retiring this year. This is my year." And then we'd be, sad about it. And then "Okay, I'm not going to do it. I'll wait till next year." So when there were rumbles, murmurs that she was really going to do it. She was really going to leave. I remember teachers coming to me, some of whom were twice my age, saying, "I wish you could be our principal. We wish you could be our leader." And I was like, I'm not certified for that. I don't want to do that, because I've seen too many parents come up and cuss people out. Now, instructional leader, I think that's what they really, that's probably what they really meant, because I was that teacher they could come to, on their lunch break and slip me a little $5, and say, "Hey, show me the strategy again. Remember the one we did in the training?" Again, ongoing training. They knew they could come to me no matter who they were, and I was going to give them, if they needed a resource, they needed an idea, needed me to help them create. They knew I was there. I mean, we really worked together. It was a beautiful, beautiful time. And I drove by that school not long ago, MacArthur Elementary School, 5909 England Street, Houston, Texas, 77021, which is my elementary that I attended from K-5. I went back there and taught bilingual education. But I heard last week, girl, that 50 Cent is supposed to be buying that building. And in that building, he's going to house vocational programs for young high school students around the Houston area. I was like, OMG, are you
Yeah.
serious? Because when I drove by there a week ago, because I had a former neighbor, Shaquita, passed away. We lived in Spanish Village Apartments right there at 4,000 Greeks. I drove by the apartment complex, drove through the complex, reminisced, felt sad. Oh my gosh, cried after her funeral, after her memorial. And then I went by the school and was just looking around, reminiscing, talking about the good old days. And then I saw a sign that read space for lease. Like, this place is for lease? Well, I can dream. I could dream that one day I'll open this building again and walk through these halls and tell my story and, make it an ESL building where you just
Right.
teach, our new Americans, provide them with whatever English they need to get them ready for that citizenship test and get them ready to survive and thrive. We need a major push in English, English, and to encourage people to maintain their foreign language. No one's saying, I'm not saying abandon Chinese. Teach me some. Don't abandon Swahili. Share it with us.
Right.
Maintain your native language and love that and nurture it, but also understand the necessity of English to be successful. English is our lingua franca. That is a language we use in business. We need to know it, even though we don't have an official language, even though English is a foreign language. Spanish was here before English, and so were the Native American tongues. They were here before English. Okay, so that is why I would never dare tell someone to not speak his or her native tongue.
There you go. We're going to switch. We're running a little bit out of time because it's been a good conversation, but I want to bring you back, but I want to start the last 8 minutes on sisterhood in sororities, where we are great and where we can improve. I think I want to do a full session on the sororities and bring a Delta, bring a Zeta on and have a full conversation on where the state of the union of that. Because I think that is something we need to touch on. And I think a lot of people are scared to touch on Greek sisterhood. And I'm not.
Well, I will tell you, our dear Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, Alpha Kappa Omega chapter, which is the oldest chapter in Houston, Texas, established in the 1920s, eulogized yesterday one of our former national presidents, our Supreme Matilda Grace. She was eulogized yesterday, and her daughter just sent me a text not a few minutes ago, Karen Grace Gray. I remember reading about her in the Alpha Kappa Alpha history book when I obtained a copy as a freshman and, read, about the history. And I met my dad that summer for the first time. And when I met my grandmother, after she got over her awe that I looked just like her late husband, she cupped my face in her hands and she said, "What sorority do you want to join?" And I said, "I want to join Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated." And she said to me, "I am an Alpha Kappa Alpha woman, and so will you be." And less than a year later, she wrote the check for me to pledge Alpha Kappa Alpha. And when I went to a Christmas event with her that Christmas, I met our Supreme Basilisk Matilda Grace. I met her at a Christmas event, and she walked in wearing this mink, and she walked over and talked to my grandmother, and I looked up, and my grandmother introduced me to her. And when she walked away, I said, so my point is, I realize the greatness that has come before me in Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. So my Alpha Kappa Alpha means everything to me. I have, again, majority of my experiences have been wonderful. I'm supported by an army of powerful, beautiful women who celebrate each other. But that minority of meanness is there, and I look forward to addressing those topics with you, and also to say that I embrace all of my sisters who are in sororities and even who are not in sororities, because I have the receipts to show the things they've done for me. Like one of your sorority sisters, I'll say this before I turn it back over to you, but one of your sorority sisters, whose name is Karen Gosby, was my big sister in college, even though she was shorter than I am. And during the worst year of my life in 2008, she came to check on me, and my light bill was overdue. And she just saw the pink slip on the table, pulled out her credit card, and paid that $200 bill. So when I tell you I have receipts like that from women in all sororities and all races, believe me when I say it. And that's why I believe so much in sisterhood and look forward to discussing that with you in the future.
I look forward to discussing that. I'll say this. I think all the sororities are phenomenal and they have very strong, phenomenal women, and they are in their own rights. I do think that we have to learn how to be collaborate more. I think as the D9, that is something that we need to wrap our arms around, because I believe we're more powerful in numbers versus segregating in for unions. If we learn how to come together, and it can come together, like for example, our first Black woman as vice president, it took all D9.
Got that right.
It wasn't just your sorority.
Just
it
us.
took everyone to push her up. And it showed me that if we get together in numbers and stop saying, oh, you're a Zeta, oh, you're a Delta, oh, you're AKA, or why you're a Sigma, yada, yada, yada. We come together and say, we are part of the Black sorority and we're leaning in and we stepping in and we're going to have a voice and we're going to stand up for whatever it might be, political, whatever it might be. We can do so much greater.
Oh, yes, we can. And I have a video I'm doing about capitalization, and I plan to bring, I want Alpha Kappa Alpha women, Delta Sigma Theta women, Zeta Phi Beta women, and Sigma Gamma Rho. I have a cousin, the first cousin, Mickey, who became a Sigma Gamma Rho recently, in the last few years. But I want all of those, because the song is about letters, how letters rise when Kappas rise. And I thought, wouldn't it be beautiful to have a variety of my sorority sisters, and all sororities to join me in that video? What a great representation of unity while teaching capitalization.
I agree.
Would you be in that with us? Would you like to be in that with?
Girl, yes.
You have to wear your letters, girl.
I will wear my letters, baby. I will wear them proudly, honey.
Awesome.
No problem. But yes,
awesome.
I will do that. You have my support.
I got something to show you. Wait.
Okay.
Does that look familiar?
Yes, that does.
Isn't this a beautiful box? OMG. This is what you gave us in your conference. When's your next conference? You got to give it a plug.
My next conference, I am looking at it to be in April of 2023. I am thinking about doing a summit retreat.
Oh, good.
I was going to do it in February, the summit. So, stay tuned. But a few ladies was like, can we do a retreat? And I'm like, retreat? I said, okay, maybe a summit retreat and see how that works out. So I'm brainstorming now. And thank you for holding up my box. Yay! Thank you. When I created that gift box, I wanted to make sure that y'all had a beautiful gift. I wanted to be different. I wanted it to be special and personalized.
It's beautiful. I'll be drinking out of this today. My hybrid lemon glass.
Yes,
Cheers to you, Chastity. Cheers to you, boo.
I don't have my glass, but I have my mug.
Cheers to you.
Thank you. Thank you. And I'll say this. If you are looking for a bilingual teacher, she teaches my daughter Spanish. Please connect with her. What I want to do, 2 things before we exit. I want you to give my audience a nugget that they can take away. There's one thing that I like to do at the end of all my segments is that my speakers give a nugget back to the audience and also tell them what you do, where they can reach you.
Okay, so my website is www.shanwag.com. That's SHANWAG.com. That is my business website for my consulting business that I run with my husband. We also have a Spanish tutoring and teaching facility here in Pearland. It is called Spanish Etc. of Pearland. You can find us on the World Wide Web at www.SpanishETC.com. You can also follow us on Facebook, Spanish Etc. of Pearland, The Shanwag Show, where I interview people, and you're going to see Chastity on my show as a guest, and then Shanwag, which is my educational consulting page. So I wear many hats, but I look forward to meeting you, working with you. And my nugget that I leave for you is, the nugget would be man in the mirror. Be that man in the mirror who looks at ways in which the world needs to change and points those things out and calls out bullies and slanderers and the bad people and stand up for the human race. But at the same time, look at yourself and constantly ask yourself how you can do better. Don't forget that we are imperfect, so we're not perfect, but we still have to continue to acknowledge ways that we need to improve as we acknowledge ways that others should do it as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I love you. Thank you for
Love you too.
gracing yourself and having this organic conversation. I love you.
I love you too. Talk to you soon.
Okay.
Bye, pretty girl. See you later.
Thank you for coming and listening to my last session. 2022 was phenomenal for the hybrid women. If you are part of the hybrid woman experience, get ready for 2023. I have a lot of in store. I will be off for a couple of months, but in those couple of months, will be working and brainstorming and doing think tanks to prepare for the 2023. Look for greater things, good things, and be ready to be you, be authentically you, and be unapologetically you. Stand in your truth, find your happiness, be successful in everything you do, and also be mindful, but also make sure you're mindful to yourself in order to be mindful of others. Remember, self-care is the most important. When you have the naysayers, the doubters, pull them to the side and let them stay on the side, because they are not the ones that's taking you and elevating you to the next level. Remember the people that are supporting and working with you. Do not forget those people that have that faith in you and they've been supporting and building you. Remember, as a hybrid woman, you take everybody up with you that is in the same energy and in the ecosystem and the direction that you are trying to go. Stay focused, stay mindful, stay successful, and most important, stay happy with who you are. Until next time, see you later, my hybrid women.